Welcome to the Wellness for Women show, where we talk about life, weight loss and everything in between. I'm Faye Caseman, founder of the AAA Way Life and Weight Loss Programme, and I'm here to help you put together the pieces of life and weight loss for one last time. This is an episode of the Wellness for Women show, filmed live in the free Facebook group. So, what are we going to cover tonight? I am going to cover what to say when somebody asks you how your weight loss is going. So, as somebody who has been on many diets before, before losing my 70 pounds, I have been asked, I bet 100 times at least, if not more, how is it going? The question that everybody dreads, or at least I used to dread. Sometimes it can be difficult to know how to respond to that when somebody's asking you about your weight loss journey. Whether you've lost weight or not that week, it can feel quite tricky to answer. So has that ever come up for you? Let me know. Or am I just doing a live about something that doesn't actually come up for people? I think that it does. I have certainly seen plenty of and sort of the thoughts and feelings that can come up. So again, let me know what crops up for you when that happens. So let's explore it a little bit more today. I am hoping that I am still live because it's just flashed up saying I have no internet, which would be pants. But it seems to be still moving. There we go. Anyway, so we're going to explore it a little bit more today. So as usual, if you want the show notes, leave me a hashtag show notes and I will send you over the link for those. And if you want the details to the free weight loss program to give you a taste of what kind of thing we work on in the membership, then let me know. The membership is actually live and kicking at the moment. We've been working on goal setting and goals, and that's really starting to help the members with regards to what it is that they are working on right now, and people are really starting to see some results from it, so which is really good. So anyway, quick intro from me, just in case this is your first video from moi. I am Faye. I am the creator of the AAA Way Life and Weight Loss Program, where I help women to find the balance between life and weight loss for sustainable weight loss. Life and weight loss. Yeah, can't get my words out today. And I do this by teaching my AAA women simple methods that they can use to craft their own journey to make a more joyful life and weight loss journey. And so if you want to know anything about that, just drop me a message. Never a problem. Okay, so now you may be thinking, maybe you are thinking, nope, that's never happened to me. I don't have a problem when people ask me about my weight loss, in which case you could always substitute whatever it is that I'm going to say right now about any other journey or any other kind of awkward conversation. It's all kind of, everything that I talk about really can be paralleled in other areas of life and weight loss. But if you are like me and you have had this question hundreds of times and you've perhaps wanted to crawl under a rock when you've been asked it, then let's dive into that. So sometimes you perhaps know that it's coming. Maybe you're about to meet up for lunch with friends or family, or you're going into work. Maybe everybody knows what day weigh day is and whatever else you've talked about it. Maybe they've seen your posts on social media, and like I say, maybe you have chit-chatted about your journey before, and so it is likely to happen. And it's probably, especially if you're going out for a meal, just as you're about to put a forkful of food in your mouth, you stumble over it. And you maybe you've even tried to plan out your conversation a little bit before you get there. What are you going to say this time? Maybe it causes a little bit of worry for you. And at the end of the day, the question of how's it going will crop up a lot in other areas of life. So let's say maybe you've just got married, or you've got a new job, or you've had a baby. Ultimately people are curious, and it's a normal part of day-to-day life to have this kind of small talk. But yet sometimes we secretly hate it, and why do we hate it sometimes? Because there's always that risk that we're going to feel awkward, we're going to say the wrong thing. It's human nature that we don't want to feel like we're a failure, or that we've not been good enough, or and so when it comes to weight loss, it can feel like a little bit of a loaded question. And I know also from experience that some people prefer not to actually tell anybody that they're going on a weight loss journey. They don't want to share the gory details, as it were, because people feel, there's a fear of judgment from others. But maybe the truth is that people who ask how your journey's going, probably the majority of them, it is perhaps just small talk. And again, maybe they don't want the gory details. So we can often take these kind of things to heart and put a lot of pressure on ourselves, to find the right answer. But the reality is really that whatever you say will be fine, or should I say it can be fine no matter what. What is key is your thoughts. Shock and horror coming from the life coach, that it's your thoughts that make all the difference to this kind of scenario. So, to tell or not to tell, that is the question. So first of all, you do have a choice. Do you tell people that you're on a weight loss journey, or insert, whatever journey it is that you are on here, or don't tell them, As I said, I know a lot of people who haven't told their partners or family for fear that they're going to judge them for spending money on something, that they will be commenting on it all the time, or that maybe they might even be out and out mean to them about that progress. Certainly I've seen plenty of people posting about people sort of saying, what could be quite hurtful things in terms of like, oh, well, what's different about this time? Or, well, you didn't succeed last time. These kind of things can come up. And that can be difficult to process, which is why coaching can help with that kind of thing. So maybe, like I say, the decision is not to tell, but then maybe you start to feel guilty about hiding it. So maybe we're in a bit of a no-win situation here. And so maybe you tell them, you worry about that, when you see people that they are going to judge you, that it will lead to you judging yourself. So what I would say is that either way, you're going to have thoughts and feelings. So pick the one that fits the best for you and that you feel you can move forward for. So my coaching school I trained with Thriving Coach Academy. Highly recommend them if you're thinking about becoming a life coach. And the head coach there and owner of Thriving Coach Academy, he tells a story about he made a decision a very long time ago about how we are human beings, we are naturally judgmental creatures, and how he would rather be judged for showing up big in the world than showing up small, not wanting to sort of live a life of regret, really. So I've always really liked that story. I think it really resonates with me. I think I hid myself away from thoughts and feelings for nearly 40 years. And as a result, that kept me small, but no more. I want to show up authentically, be who I'm going to be, and and have this. But at the end of the day, this is a personal choice. It's a personal choice to you. But if you were to join my coaching membership, then it is something you can always get coached on anytime you needed to. And next bit, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of from these conversations? So either way, to tell, not to tell, there is likely to be a conversation at some point where somebody asks you how your journey is going. And I say, even if they don't know that you're on that journey, somebody could say something that might, that might set those same kind of thoughts and feelings off. So again, let's go deeper. So what is your worst fear for this kind of conversation? What is your darkest fear from that conversation? Are you worried about somebody saying something unkind? Are you embarrassed due to your progress? Are you worried about what they will think? Are you worried that you're going to upset their feelings, maybe, depending on what it is that you've got to say? Are you worried that somebody's going to think less of you? So the key is to start actively listening for these thoughts. And you may think then, oh no, but what if I start listening to those thoughts and I'll discover all of these things and I'll open Pandora's box and it will be really emotional and I won't be able to close the box again. But the thing is, whether you listen for them or not, those thoughts are still going to be there and they're hiding in your subconscious. And you have the choice: find them, deal with them, and work on feeling better to find more joy, or don't, and potentially risk them festering, or at least you're just going to continue as you are with whatever your current thoughts and feelings are. And so again, I know which I would choose every single time I am sick of feeling like shit. I did it for nearly 40 years off and on, and I don't want to feel like that anymore. And the point is, you don't have to feel that way. You know, you are in control of your thoughts. It's the one thing that you have true ownership of is your thoughts. So the kind of thing that could come up for me regularly, so again, let me know if this comes up for any of you, is that people will judge, you know, some of the thoughts I had when people ask me how's it going, it would be people will judge me for my looks, probably stemming from the fact that I had some name calling when I was little. I was ashamed of myself after years of thinking that I should have the perfect body. I would be embarrassed. I knew I'd not been good that week, or I wasn't on plan. And as with all, you know, because as with all of the diets that I tried, really, I found them really hard to stick to. I would feel the need to justify my actions with excuses, which made me feel quite icky. I didn't really want to be reminded of the bad week that I was having, so that could trigger a negativity spiral. And if I had lost weight, I perhaps didn't want to misguide people as to how it was going, because naturally there were ups and downs. Maybe if that other person was on a weight loss journey, maybe I would be worried if I'd lost weight that they hadn't and that I was rubbing it in. And so certainly those are things that have, you know, definitely come up for me when when it's come round to talking about my weight loss. And I'm sure there's loads more. Those was just the ones that I could think of off the top of my head. So, you know, of course, those are my fears and thoughts, but they might not be yours. Maybe yours are different. So, you know, let me know as you're listening what kind of thoughts and feelings do come up for you when people ask you about your weight loss or ask you about something else. So what's next? What is next? So what do you do? What do you do when you've got these thoughts? So we get curious about them. Curiosity is a huge part of my program. We have to gather that awareness, right? We have to understand why those thoughts are there. What are your reasons? What are your fears? What is it that your brain thinks is going to happen? And then ask yourself things like, is it true? Is it loving? Could I be thinking something different? And these all, so I use the acronym TLC for that. Apply some TLC to that thought and work through it. But your reasons are valid for you. This is not about saying that your reasons or your thoughts aren't valid. It's just about that sometimes when we look closer at them, they're often either they're not as rational as they first seem, or sometimes our brain literally does just lie to us. And if we don't deal with those thoughts actively, we start to believe them. We start to believe our own bullshit. And, you know, we don't have to at the end of the day. So let's say these conversations are likely to bring up or be triggering, as we were talking about last week, you know, old thought patterns which lead to us feeling not being good enough. And so if this is common for you, you know, you're not alone. I say, been through there, got the t-shirt, and probably still will occasionally. But the difference is I now have ways in which to talk to myself differently. But let's say, so you don't have to continue on that way if you don't want to. So how do you respond to the question without feeling awkward? So I'm just going to throw some tips at you. So I've given you the first one, and it's the biggest one. It is about being curious about what is actually coming up for you, what is your biggest fear, and thinking about ways in which you can solve it. It's critical to be honest with yourself and with others if you can, so that you feel more authentic. If you feel more authentic in an alignment, generally you will feel more joyful and happier. And if you're having a tough time, you know, then try and tell them. You know, weight loss can feel really hard at times. It can feel like you're in a constant battle, you know, even with a super simple sustainable method like the AAA way. You know, you will still have days where you feel that you're on top of your game and other ones where you're not doing so well, you know, and this is all part of the journey. You can anticipate conversations such as these, and again, practice what you want to say in advance. Again, we'll all perhaps have at times where we're going to run through the conversations when we know that there's something coming up, but quite often it's a little bit too last minute, or it's something that then starts to encroach, like who hasn't woken up in the middle of the night all of a sudden in a cold sweat about how you're going to deal with something, whereas actually you can deal with them more proactively, which means that again, your subconscious is just a little bit happier. You can work on trying to remind yourself about the fact that we quite often will try and jump into other people's thought bubbles and think that they are thinking X, Y, and Z about us, whereas actually half the time they're probably not. You know, maybe somebody is just trying to make small talk, and or they genuinely are asking to, you know, as a caring point. If you're doing well, then share it. It is very important to share your wins when working on weight loss. You don't have to do it in a way that doesn't feel good to you, but it is still something that I would recommend that you do. It helps to gather momentum and motivation, which I talked about in previous lives. And one of my recommended daily steps from the program is to share it with the community. So whether you're working in the free program, share your wins, or whether you are in the paid membership, share your wins, talk about it, get it all out. And keep celebrating yourself. And let's say if you're worried about what the other person might think or feel, because you don't want to be boastful or bragging or upsetting somebody else's feelings if they're struggling, then all you can ever do is try and put yourself in that person's shoes and think about the delivery, right? And I say, remembering that obviously the people who really care for us the most are just going to want to know just genuinely how it is that you are getting on. And then the final note is just to kind of say that, if you have toxic people in your life, just remember that it is okay to set boundaries. You don't have to share everything with everybody. Abuse and ill treatment are never okay. And it doesn't have to be tolerated. So again, you can work through some thoughts and feelings if any of that is coming up in any of the relationships that you have that could lead to that. And I hope that that isn't the case, but obviously these things do happen. And so, reach out for support from relevant people. And ultimately, if you panic in the moment, you always have the stock response of, fine, thank you. Or if you really want to stretch it out a bit, I'm doing my best. There's ups and downs, and I really appreciate your support at this time. So, quick conclusion. So when somebody asks you about your weight loss journey, it can be a little bit tricky. I know that. You may not have lost any weight yet, or maybe you've lost a little bit, or maybe you've lost a lot, who knows? But again, it can still feel a little bit tricky to answer at times. And one of the other things that I would suggest is that you can actually use my 5 Ds of action process. So I covered that in the 5 Ds of eating out, but I do have a generic handout for it, so it's worth grabbing that. So leave me a hashtag 5D if you want to get more information on my 5D process. But ultimately it is 5 Ds. So the first D is to decide what it is that you're going to do, what you are going to do. Are you going to share or not going to share? Decide in advance what you're going to try and say, not try and say. What kind of questions could come up? Make it doable is the second D. So whatever it is, get it done, keep it simple, keep it easy, and so that you can keep the momentum going. Third one is discover. So what happened? How did it go? So getting curious about what happened, what you think is going to happen before it happens, whilst it's happening, and after it happens. So before, during, and after. And then the 4th D is deal. So work on your thoughts and feelings that come up. This is where the real change happens. Weight loss, again, so commonly it's thought of that it's about what you eat, and actually it's about your thoughts. And then do again. So these things rarely happen once. Rinse and repeat every single time until you figure it out. And so this is where you want tools that can help you to just keep doing the best that you can. So I really hope that this has helped you and that it's given you some ideas on how you might respond next time somebody asks how your weight loss is going. These kind of conversations, again, can be quite triggering. It can lead to overeats, especially when perhaps you are already out for a meal or you're going out for a meal. So again, think about context and where these things happen, and what you can do or not do about these things. And if you are struggling with emotional eating or anything like that, need to make changes to your habits, then of course please do sign up for the VIP membership, and because you don't have to go through your weight loss alone. And if you want me to send you the details of that, just leave me a hashtag food freedom. So I hope that's been useful. Like I say, if you're watching it live or on replay, leave a hashtag gem with any of your aha moments so that I know that you're getting the best out of watching this and your time. If you want the show notes, leave me a hashtag show notes and I will whiz you the link to the video and also the show notes so that you've got them in written format as well. And that way you can also grab access to grab access to those resources as well. And other than that, I am going to love you and leave you as usual for the week. Can't think that there's anything else that I wanted to tell you. Thanks for listening, and don't forget, if you want to boost your life and weight loss the AAA way, check out the relevant links for today's show in the description. Speak soon.